Oh, yeah, it's Randy Savage here. You ready for the craziest show in the mountains? Oh, yeah, it's time for the craziest show in the mountains. Manny's Rockin Conspiracies starts right now. Don't touch that dial. The NSA knows if you have. From the campus of Western Carolina University in Tullowee, it's time for the craziest show in the mountains. I'm talking none other than Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, broadcasting throughout Western North Carolina on 90.5 WWCU-FM is Western Carolina University. I'm your host. It's that Manny guy, Manny Jones, broadcasting the conspiracies and the paranormal. It is 6 o'clock. It's time for the craziest show in the mountains. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday, September 29th, here in the Wee, or wherever you may be listening, across the country, or even the world, or the universe. Hope it's been great. My day's sort of been a little mixed. I pull up to the station today and find out that my driver's side window isn't working. It will not roll back up. It's very unfortunate, and it's not fun in the slightest. Hopefully, other than that, it's been fine. On today's show of the craziest show in the mountains, I originally, for the first hour, was going to discuss the cryptid known as Mothman. But then it hit me. I had a much better idea. I had a premonition, if you will. What if I talked about cryptids all throughout October? And it got me thinking. That pencil was hitting my noggin, and I was wondering what I could do with this sudden premonition. And then it came to me. Cryptidtober. That's right, Cryptidtober. All throughout the first hour of next month in October, I'll be talking cryptids, ranging from the always infamous Bigfoot, maybe even Dogman, the Jersey Devil. You never know what cryptid I just may be talking about in the first hour of next month's shows. But in this month, I'm talking about a secret NASA program revealed by a journalist from Quebec that would regard holographic space shows and the New World Order. I don't know how a hologram is going to bring about the New World Order, but considering how fast technology has been developing, it would not surprise me that a conspiracy like this would exist. If you got any comments throughout the show, don't forget to let me know. You can give me a call during any show at any time at 828-227-7173. That's 828-227-7173. And the second hour, we cover current news. And what do I have on my special little laptop right in front of me? Well, lots of news stories, such as a gambling site that is taking bets on the disclosure of the existence of aliens. President Trump is in support of Mothman 2020. I wonder if Mothman would have a running mate of Bigfoot or Nessie, though I don't know if Nessie would work because Nessie's from Scotland, so I don't know if that would work. A Harvard astronomer has suggested that the lunar surface may contain alien evidence. That'll come in the second hour. But first, we're talking about Project Bluebeam. Now, what is Project Bluebeam? Well, first of all, it was created by a Quebecois journalist named Serge Monast. He did a lot of works regarding Masonic conspiracy theories relating to the Freemason fraternal organization and the New World Order, and they are still very popular today. His claim was that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, was attempting to implement a new age religion with the Antichrist as the head of the religion and start a new world order with a technologically simulated second coming of Christ. Now, we're going to talk the specific details about this further because he detailed it in a book that, from what I heard, is out of print, and I may not be able to get myself a copy. But the internet is a vast, open resource. There's a lot of evidence I can find regarding this theory. And don't forget, you can let me know what you think about this theory throughout the show. That same number, 828-227-7173. That's 828-227-7173. We'll have more information coming up throughout the program, but let's kick it to our music. Queued up in the system, I have Failure by Breaking Benjamin from their comeback album they released back in 2015. Pretty good album, I will say. You're tuned in to the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, only on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University. And we're back on the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, broadcasting throughout Western North Carolina on 90.5 WWCU-FM is the broadcast service of Western Carolina University. That was Tainted Love by Marilyn Manson, and before that we had a cover of Smooth Criminal by Alien Ant Farm. Now into the topic of today's show, Project Bluebeam, which, if you missed the opening of the show, was a proposed conspiracy alleged by Serge Monast of Quebec that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, was attempting to implement a new age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order via technologically simulated second coming of Christ. He broke it down into 5 parts. Now, here's the first. 1, the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. This first step involves the creation of artificial earthquakes in certain places in the world. These earthquakes will unearth previously undiscovered archaeological sites of great importance, and the new discoveries will serve to discredit the existing religions. By controlling the media, the New World Order, which is a little mystified, we don't know who's in the New World Order, will trick the world's nations into believing they have misunderstood and misinterpreted their religious doctrines all along. Conspiracy theorists claim there are a large number of archaeological sites hiding an even larger number of arcane mysteries. When or if the earthquakes reveal these mysteries, the world will be shaken and ready for phase 2. Now, you may be wondering, what's phase 2? Well, phase 2 is an enormous and fake space show involving holograms. Using technology that is being kept secret from the public, Project Bluebeam's artisans will create a worldwide celestial show that mimics a global second coming. Different holograms will be played in various zones according to their predominant religious beliefs. Prophetic in nature, these visions will serve to further destabilize the situation until it escalates into a deadly global war. Investigative journalists and conspiracy theorists goes into describing the intentions. I'm going to scroll down here. Here's what Serge Monath said about this phase. Quote, naturally, this superbly staged falsification will result in dissolved social and religious disorder on a grand scale, each nation blaming the other for deception, setting loose millions of programmed religious fanatics through demonic possession on a scale never seen before. Now, we're just in two phases here of a pretty interesting conspiracy already. My only question here is, what do you think? Do you think NASA would ever attempt to try and plan out a conspiracy like this? Why don't you give me a call at 828-227-7173. That's 828-227-7173. I'm going to take a little deviation from this, talk about something that happened locally and current. About 3 weeks ago, my friend the Kush Dog appears as a guest for the 2 hours during the show back on the 8th of September. And during that show, he told me about an unidentified flying object that he saw. He sent me video, and I posted it on my Twitter account, which you should follow, at Manny Radio Derg. And he then said that it was rather unique. He showed it his freshman year. Now, I was leaving about a week or so ago. I was leaving the campus recreation center on Western's campus, and I saw this light that the Kush Dog was talking about. It's this spinning, rotating light that's staying in just one location over the mountain. Now, it could just be a giant stoplight or a lighthouse. But why would you put a lighthouse in the mountains? There's no boats around here unless you're in the river. And more or less, I took a look at the website Skyships Over Cachers. And here's what I found. On August 25th, 2019, we met with Amy, who is a lifelong resident of Cachers, North Carolina. She told us about 3 of her UFO sightings in the mountaintop town. Each was unique, but all were along Highway 107, which runs north and south through Cachers, which leads you into Silva, Western Carolina University, Cullowhee, and Franklin and Cachers. Here's what she said. My first UFO sighting was probably when I was about 15 years old. So it was dark, and just before coming to Found Forest on the west side of Highway 107, the whole forest lit up with light. It wasn't like a light from a spotlight or from flashlights. The whole forest lit up like it was coming from something huge. We slowed down and stopped for about a minute. Though we tried, we couldn't make out any shape in the sky. It was just a huge bright light. Then we continued driving north toward Cachers, but we had second thoughts and turned back. By then, the light was gone. So it's not just me that's seen this light. It's not just the Kush Dog that's seen this light, but other people have seen this huge light. What in the world is this huge light? It's a mystery. It's amazing to me how this could be so local. I mean, maybe it could just be aliens using the light to try and listen into my show. What's that crazy man that got talking about us on the radio again? And I just got a text from my dad, who is currently in Iraq. Now you get calls. Yes, we've had a call line here for mainly requests, but if you want to talk to me during the break, unfortunately, due to prank calls in our station's past, your calls are unfortunately unable to be aired just for that reason. But you're welcome to call and talk to me during the break at 828-227-7173. That's 828-227-7173. Let's kick it to the music. I have Falling Apart by Zebrahead. You're listening to the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, only on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University.
Are we on Earth? Are we a hologram? Where does the darkness end? Do you want to believe anything is possible on Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, the craziest show in the mountains? Tune in to WWCU-FM every Sunday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. for your favorite conspiracies. The answer to 1984 is Manny's Rockin Conspiracies.
Did you know that there are 9 deaths each day due to distracted driving? Texting, talking on the phone, changing music, messing with in-car technology, and eating can cause drivers to lose focus of the road and cause accidents. In North Carolina alone, distracted driving causes nearly 54,000 car crashes a year. Distracted driving not only puts the driver at risk, but other passengers and anyone else on the road at risk of an accident. This type of reckless driving can be prevented. Stay focused and save a life. This message was provided by WWCU.
And we're back on the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin' Conspiracies, broadcasting throughout Jackson and Haywood counties in beautiful western North Carolina on 90.5 WWCU-FM is Western Carolina University. To keep up with what I am doing all around campus, whether I'm telling you if I rated Area 51 again, follow me on Twitter and Instagram under the username at Manny, M-A-N-I, Radio Derg. You never know what I may be talking about. It could be my favorite new genre of music, which if you don't know what that is, I found this musical group that unfortunately I had to figure out if I'm allowed to play on the air, but it's this group that has death metal beats. It has death metal beats. But they put Alex Jones rants over it. So it's it's my new favorite genre. So anyway, the first hour we're talking Project Bluebeam. Now, we already got through 2 phases, and apparently there's 2 more to go. Now, the first 2 phases were to break down all archaeological knowledge and then create an enormous and fake space show involving holograms. Now, what are the last 2 parts? Telepathic manipulation and creating supernatural manifestations. Hey, wait a second. Manifestations. You take the F-E-S-T-A-T-I-O-N-S out of manifestations, you get Manny. Oh no. I'm not involved in this conspiracy, guys. Please, I'm not involved. Anyway, how would they use telepathic manipulation? Drawing on previous mind control projects, this step will implement various telepathic manipulation methods with the aid of low frequency and very low frequency and extra low frequency waves. Bluebeam will bombard its victims and modify their behavior from the inside. This technology had its origins in the mind control programs of the 1970s and 80s. This person, based on the Serge Manassas writing, is talking about MK Ultra, which is a declassified CIA mind control project. If you listen to my show about that, which is on YouTube somewhere, I actually talked about MK Ultra, and I found out that the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, and the lead frontman of the Grateful Dead were victims in MK Ultra. Rather interesting. This technology has origins in the 70s and 80s and will probably be routed through an array of specially designed satellites. Recent experiments have shown that planting diffuse artificial satellite thoughts into subjects' minds is possible, yet the full extent of this possibility is unknown. I think this person is also talking about an early form of 5G, which I've heard for a good while as the next big mind control project. Now, what's the last step in creating a new world order with the Antichrist at its head? And that is creating supernatural manifestations. According to this person, it will be the most extensive and phenomenal. The holographic image generators will just simulate well-organized alien invasions in all the world's major cities. This false attack could force the ruling nations into using their nuclear arsenal, an intimidating prospect that could transform Earth into a wasteland. The same technology will use to trick the Christians that the second coming is happening. A mixture of desperation and false hope will finally force humanity to accept the New World Order and its engineered religion. A natural and justified reaction to the alleged existence of Project Bluebeam would be, wow. Fortunately, there is little evidence that a program of this scope and magnitude can be achieved today in the near future. And that, my friends, was Project Bluebeam, a rather unique theory thought up by Serge Monast, who was a Quebecois journalist who talked a lot about Masonic conspiracy theories relating to Freemasons and talked about the New World Order. So, what else can we learn about this theory? Well, you're going to have to find out, because where Serge Monast got the basis for this theory is rather interesting, his actual source. But you'll find that out and more. I want to go with some comments that I've been getting throughout the show. Chandler J. Reese, who was on this show 2 weeks ago, I am ready to get peeved at Smash while I listen to your show. Well, Chandler, I hope you're not getting too peeved. I know Smash can make someone a little upset. My dad, who is currently stationed in Iraq, listening in, said, great promo. Thank you so much, Dad. That was a fun one to produce, actually. I was working with Dan from The Edge, who you could listen to Thursdays from 8 to 10 p.m. A wonderful show. He's a good dude. You should listen to him, too. He had the idea of, are we on Earth? Are we a hologram? And that came from Don Connolly, a professor here at Western Carolina, who told me to go stand at, I think it was Cutoff Mountain, and just look into the pitch black sky and ask if the darkness ends or if I'm a hologram or something. And the music that we used for that, which is pretty cool, we used music from The Day the Earth Stood Still, when he has the theremin coil, you know. So it's perhaps one of my favorite things that I've had part in, I've taken part in making here in my time at Western. This is my third year, so it's been very fun so far. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Sunday evening. Quick shout out to my bud Iron up in Virginia. Hope your day's going fine, bud. But let's get back to the music. Queued up is Got the Life by Korn, my personal favorite band, from their album Follow the Leader. You're listening to the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, only on 90.5 WWCU Cullowhee. You're tuned in to WWCU 90.5 Cullowhee. This is Manny Jones. It's Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, the craziest show in the mountains. If you've been following along, or you just tuning in for the first time, whether you're in Silva, Cullowhee, Waynesville, anywhere in Western North Carolina or across the country and or world, I'm talking about Project Bluebeam, a NASA conspiracy regarding New World Order creating a religion, simulating alien invasions, fake invasions through holograms, and the second coming of Christ. It was created by Serge Monast, who was a journalist from Quebec who discussed things like this. He published a whole book about it in the mid-90s. But there has to be a source for all this, you may think. Well, there is. According to Joel Engel, who wrote the book Gene Roddenberry, The Myth and Man Behind Star Trek, quoted as saying this: In May 1975, Gene Roddenberry accepted an offer from Paramount to develop Star Trek into a feature film and moved back into his old office on the Paramount lot. His proposed story was told of a flying saucer hovering above Earth that was programmed to send down people who looked like prophets, including Jesus Christ. And eventually this film was unmade. The script was made, but the film never got past that part of development. And it was used for an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, Manasse has not said that this was based off of Star Trek, and he unfortunately passed away in 1996. But this is a unique source, and it's very, very similar. I mean, think about it. The original theory is that NASA and the UN are gonna use holograms to make fake projections of alien invasions and various religious iconography, all to coerce us into being submitting to the New World Order. That's the conspiracy. And the Star Trek script is talking about aliens in a flying saucer hovering above Earth, sending people down that looked like the prophets, including Jesus. Now, if you tell a conspiracy theorist this, according to this wiki I'm reading, it says, quote, they confidently state it was obvious that Manasse had been fed deceptive information by the Central Intelligence Agency. Well then, isn't that quite interesting? Hey, this information doesn't look that right. The CIA fed him wrong information. That's rather unique, but what do you think? That's what I want to know, is what do you think? Do you think anything in this theory is legitimate? Could it happen someday? You can give me a call anytime during breaks at 828-227-7173. That's 828-227-7173. Or let me know on my social media. My Instagram and Twitter is @MannyRadioDerg. I want to give a quick shout out to a unique kind of listener of the show. I want to give a shout out to Otis the Cat out in Fayetteville, North Carolina, whom is listening in, and in fact is, from what I was told by my grandmother, is perched up and looking at the laptop, listening to my voice. I guess cats like Manny. I can't wait for if I ever get a fan club. I go to the fan club meeting and it's just cats. Just nothing but cats. I guess cats like to hear Manny. Maybe someday I'll talk to Paws the Catamount about certain things. Maybe he would like to come on the show. Maybe he's a listener. I hope he's a big fan. If Paws listening, hey, hope you doing a show, big cat. Anyway, that concludes the first hour of the craziest show in the mountains. In the second hour, we focus on current events. But for now, enjoy the music break. Queued up in the system, I have, from their album, The Height of Callousness, Spineshank, with the song Synthetic. You're listening to Manny's Rockin Conspiracies only on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University. It's the 7 o'clock Numa here on Manny's Rockin Conspiracies.
Sunt eu un haiduc și te rog, iubirea mea, primește fericirea. Alo, alo, sunt eu, Picasso, ți-am dat bip și sunt voinic, dar să știi, nu-ți cer nimic. Vrei
Vrei să pleci, dar numai ei, numai ei, numai ei, chipul tău și dragostea din tei, mi-amintesc de ochii tăi, ei, vrei să pleci, dar
Welcome back to the second hour of the craziest show in the mountains. I'm Manny Jones, your crazy host here on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University. In the second hour, we cover current news in the world of conspiracies and the supernatural. And we have a wide variety of stories to cover. But first was the one that I almost talked about last week. Now, as I mentioned earlier in my show, there is a cryptid known as Mothman, whom has been sighted throughout the 1960s in the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And Mothman is that big that he has a festival, sort of like the local Bigfoot festival they had in Marion 2 weeks ago, which I unfortunately couldn't go to. I wanted to go so bad. I really did. Western had a game day, so I had to be there. Anyway, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin tweeted a picture of himself in front of the Mothman statue that they have. His tweet wrote, "Wishing everyone in Mason County a happy Mothman festival today." Now, it's a big festival. Thousands of people are descending to Point Pleasant for this annual celebration. Now, here's where it got interesting. President Donald Trump tweeted about it. He shared the tweet and replied, "I go along with Joe." Now, this brings a lot of questions. First of all, the President of the United States is tweeting about Mothman. Mothman. This is amazing. Second, considering that Trump has a lot of things regarding UFOs, it's rather unique to see him talk about Mothman. And why would you tweet about Mothman? I get to tweet about Mothman because it's the nature of my show. It's who I am. I don't know. I sometimes think Mothman is watching me. Maybe he, like the aliens, like my grandmother's cat, and like probably a bunch of aliens out there, are just a listener of my show. Perhaps Mothman lives in the Moore building. What else do you think is in the Moore building? That place has been deserted for a long time. But it's interesting how the Donald is a fan of the mysterious winged creature that we all know as Mothman. It would have been amazing where's Chandler J. Reese and I need him for his Trump impression? If you were listening in about 2 weeks ago when I had Chandler J. Reese on, he was giving all these amazing, just hilarious Trump impressions. No. And this story would just be perfect. And I'm telling you, perfect for him to talk about in his impression of the President of the United States. It's very good. These people are amazing. So, anyway, if you have a story that I don't have up on my screen, but you want to hear me talk about, you can give me a call during the breaks at 828-227-7173. That's 828-227-7173. Or you can tell them about me on my Twitter and Instagram at Manny Radio Derg. Queued up in the system is Vermilion Part 2, the Bloodstone mix from Slipknot on their 4th album. It's a rather good track if you ask me. You're listening to Manny's Rockin Conspiracies only on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University. And that was Sabaton with a cover of Rammstein's Feuer frei. Here on the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember listening to Manny's Rockin Conspiracies. Yeah. It's an amazing show, yeah. But you, Hulk Hogan, you never listened to the man's Rockin Conspiracies. And that's a promise you didn't keep, yeah. I've been watching too much wrestling. Anyway, one of my stories that I have from Coast to Coast AM, a British boxing legend has embraced the flat earth theory. Former multi-time world champion Carl Froch declared to a British media outlet that, quote, the earth is flat 100%. And he said that, quote, there's no proof of the earth's curvature. In response to this argument that, well, hey, Mr. Froch, maybe those images of the earth that we have from space, oh no, they're all a hoax. He later said, this fake space agency, NASA, uses CGI images, and everyone is different, the retired super middleweight mused. I'm looking at them thinking, hang on a minute, they're like cartoons. He then said that entrepreneurs like Elon Musk of the organization SpaceX are a part of a cabal of elite power brokers intent on keeping the true shape of the planet hidden from the public. Now, this is rather unique because I've seen this almost all the time, that all of it's all a lie. He also believes that the moon landings were fake, and later said that the only way that the matter could be settled is that a trip to space would be the only logical conclusion, so that he could, quote unquote, see the Earth's curvature. Now, Mr. Froch is not the first sports figure to back the theory. A couple of years ago, when I started this show, Kyrie Irving, who at the time was on the Cleveland Cavaliers and then was traded to the Boston Celtics, he believes in the flat earth, though he later distanced himself from it because he got mocked, poor Kyrie, to death. And at one press conference, he was asked to sign a globe, which I thought was comedy gold right there. And Shaquille O'Neal believed in the theory. Also, a Spanish soccer team has changed their name to Flat Earth FC. Now, it's ironic because I'm wearing an old soccer jersey myself, or football as they call it in Europe. So, this is just interesting to me, how the flat earther, and the one thing I've heard from a lot of flat earthers is that if I was to ask a flat earther, let's say, well, here, convince me the earth is flat, hashtag change my mind, if you will. What they'll always say, from what I have seen, is that they'll say that they can't convince me, that I have to look at the evidence for myself for some reason, which is rather unique. If you believe in your theory so much, you should be able to convince people to believe in that theory. Anyway, if you got a comment, give me a call at 828-227-7173. Queued up in the system is I Write Sins, Not Tragedies by Panic at the Disco. You're listening to the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, only on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University. This is Manny's Rockin Conspiracies, only on 90.5 WWCU is Western Carolina University. I want to give a quick shout out to one caller who called in during the break. Grayson called in and asked me if I heard of the theory that Wyoming, the state that is, it exists. And he asked me what I thought about that. And I told him, well, it's very possible. There are some people that believe that Australia does not exist, that it's some fake island that all the British sent their prison to the ship and they sank it. So I actually made a video about it on my YouTube channel about a year or so ago. It was a rather unique theory. He later said that everybody in Wyoming, it's a simulation, and everybody there is sleeper agents. And I asked him, well, what's the simulation about? And he goes, well, Manny, it could be anything. Anything. They could be spying on cheese. Cheese is delicious. So, anyway, thank you, Grayson, for calling in. Remember, you can call in during the breaks at any time at 828-227-7173. On to the next news story that I have. An online gambling site has been taking bets on the disclosure of the existence of aliens. Extraterrestrial enthusiasts went to the site Bovada and found betting odds on the disclosure of aliens and bets on whether or not this scenario would unfold. According to our estimate, there is a 5,000 to 1 chance that the U.S. government will confirm the existence of aliens by the end of 2019. Now, these odds may not look so good, but don't worry. The odds in 2020 of this happening are set at 2,000 to 1 at the end of this year. And the most intriguing wager asks, will Donald Trump confirm any images or video to be alien spacecraft before the end of his presidency? Now, for that bet, the odds are set at 1,500 to 1. This is unique to me. You're going to, I know there's sports gambling's legal. You can go out there and bet if the Carolina Panthers are going to win their game or the Pittsburgh Steelers will win their game. There's gambling all over the place. But I do want to say, if aliens do invade, and let's say the Donald confirmed these are the aliens, and you get your winnings, and the next day the aliens invade. Well, your great winnings of 5,000 to 1 odds just became worthless because the aliens decided to invade. It's a rather unique one. I mean, hey man, what you bet on today? I bet that the government will reveal the truth about aliens. What are the odds? 5,000 to 1. I'll take those odds. It's a rather unique thing to bet on. And I have the fitting song for this, which we'll play before we go to our station identification break. 3 minutes from halfway through the hour. I have Aliens Exist by Blink-182, which is ironic because Tom DeLonge left Blink-182 to find them aliens. You're listening to Manny's Rockin Conspiracies only on 90.5 WWCU-FM, the broadcast service of Western Carolina University.
Western Carolina University is WWCU Calloway, WWOO Dillsboro.
Graduate on time, practice academic integrity, and follow university policies. Get caught doing good. For more information, contact the Department of Student Community Ethics or the Writing Center.
Catamounts know the code.
And that was Creep by the Stone Temple Pilots here on Manny's Rockin' Conspiracies, the craziest show in the mountain. This is 7:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, one of the last stories I have for the evening is a story out of Harvard. Now, Harvard astronomers have done, or should I say, made unique news. A couple months ago, some Harvard astronomers made some news, and they declared that the space probe known as Oumuamua was an alien probe. It was an elongated, really weird-looking space formation, I should say. And 2 astronomers theorized that it was an alien probe. Well, more scientific journals came out debunking that claim that it's an alien probe, though they still believe it is. But here's a news story out of the Harvard Astronomy Academy. I know there is Academy for Harvard Astronomy. Harvard astronomers suggest lunar surface may contain alien evidence. Excuse me. Abraham Loeb, who chairs the astronomy department, detailed his theory in an op-ed for Scientific American that was published last Wednesday. And he says that the moon possesses 2 attributes which make it the perfect location to find possible extraterrestrial clues. Now, you may be asking what those clues are. His first clue is that the lack of a lunar atmosphere guarantees that these messengers would reach the lunar surface without burning up, since the moon has no geological activity. Anything that may have hit the celestial body long in its long past, considering it is 4.5 billion years old, he argues that it will be preserved and not mixed with the deep lunar interior. And he also said that because taken in the moon's age of 4.5 billion years, he observed that the lunar surface serves as a natural mailbox. That's a unique way of putting it, a mailbox. I know how people say that the moon is Earth's natural satellite. I'd say it's different. It's Earth's natural mailbox. I like it because think of it. Our moon orbits us, and if you're coming into Earth, let's say if you're an alien and you're coming into Earth from far outside our solar system, one of the first things you'd see is the moon. You could say it's our mailbox. Take a nice little pit stop at the moon before you go back on your journey towards the Earth. And he later was positioned that of what sort of things could be sitting on the surface, which is a great question. If Mr. Loeb is claiming that, well, the aliens have been leaving messages on the surface of the moon that would show to us that we are truly not alone, he later said that the evidence of aliens by way of biomarkers which could inform us about the nature of extraterrestrial life. And he also said that there could be microfossils of extraterrestrial forms of life on the moon. And one of his potential claims was that traces of technological equipment that crashed on the lunar surface 1 billion years ago, amounting to a letter from an alien civilization saying that we exist. Now, this is a theory, of course, and he claims that if we found it, it would be the definitive answer to show aliens exist. He also said that the moon could act, with the moon actually being covered by alien evidence, that it provides a new scientific incentive for a sustainable base on the lunar surface. Now, I remember as a kid, I read the book, The Magic Treehouse. It was about these two kids named Jack and Annie, whom in their house in Pennsylvania, they had a tree house. And if they read the book and they pointed to a certain point in time, they would travel back in time to that location or forward in time to that location. And and time would stop around them. So it was a rather unique series that I enjoyed as a kid. But they travel to the time 2032. Well, actually, it says the guide says that the moon base they're in was built in 2032. And apparently, NASA plans to construct the lunar outpost, which they will construct between 2024 to 2037. So maybe, just maybe, this moon base that was seen in the Magic Treehouse books and theorized by him and soon to be built by NASA in about 5 years, it could become reality very, very quickly. Let's kick it back to the music real quick. I have queued up from their album Hybrid Theory, Crawling by Linkin Park. You're listening to the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies. And that was Alone by Zebrahead. Here on the craziest show in the mountains, Manny's Rockin Conspiracies. It is 6 minutes away from top of the hour, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, when I unfortunately have to head out It's alien hunting time for me because them aliens are still out there somewhere. I'm trying to find the aliens that dropped me off after my Area 51 trip. They're got to be here somewhere. I want to do an Instagram thing with them, a story with them. I mean, hey, I could be the first person in radio history to interview the aliens. Aliens. I'm not going to say the aliens like my show, but the aliens probably like my show. Anyway, I'm Manny Jones. Thank you for hanging out with me for the past 2 hours. If you want to keep up with what's happened with me around campus, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Manny Radio Derg and on Facebook, facebook.com/Manny Rockin. A quick shout out to a couple of listeners out there. My grandmother and her cat out in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My dad, whom is currently serving in Iraq. My bud Iron, the coyote up in Virginia. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. Why do I think it's Saturday? The Matrix is glitching. My apologies. But hope you're having a fantastic Sunday evening. Thanks to Tanner J. Reese for tuning in while he was not doing so well in Smash. It's a conspiracy because they're going after Chandler. It is a conspiracy. And last but not least, to one of my grandmother's co-workers. Her name is Kristen, listening in from Fairmont, North Carolina. Hope you're having a fantastic Sunday evening. It's that Manny guy, Manny Jones. I'm Manny Jones. And until the next time we meet here in the wee word.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap.